This is Mac OS Ken.
South Korea stirs up the app stores, Apple fights the tax man, and lots of Apple TV Plus talk. It is Friday, the 3rd of September, 2021. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. That thing that South Korea was expected to do last week, it went ahead and did that this week. Apple Insider says the government there has voted to force Apple and Google to accept alternative payment methods in their respective app stores. In addition to the payment proclamation, the piece says South Korea's Telecommunications Business Act also bans the companies from unreasonably delaying or deleting apps. That's a move meant to keep the companies from retaliating against app makers who choose to use alternative payment systems, according to the report. Digging South Korea's groove, the Coalition for App Fairness. Coalition Executive Director Megan DiMuzio responded to the legislation, saying, "We applaud South Korean lawmakers and President Moon Jae-in for setting an example for the rest of the world to hold App Store gatekeepers accountable for their harmful and anti-competitive practices." The Coalition for App Fairness hopes U.S. and European lawmakers follow South Korea's lead and continue their important work to level the playing field for all app developers and users. And boy, does that sound good to U.S. lawmakers. A separate piece from Apple Insider had a number of those heaping praise on the South Korean action. Last week, when South Korea was first expected to hold its vote, Senator Amy Klobuchar, one of the three lawmakers behind the Open App Markets Act introduced last month in the U.S. Senate, said, "Mobile technologies have become essential to our daily lives, and now just two app stores wield incredible power over which apps consumers can access and how they access them. When you see this same issue arising all over the world, it is even more obvious that we need to take action." Speaking along a similar line at a similar time, Apple Insider says Representative David Cicilline, Democrat of Rhode Island, a big tech critic who co-sponsored companion bills on App Store regulation in the House, last week said, "It is clear that momentum is building around the world to rein in abusive and anti-competitive practices by dominant online platforms, including in the mobile app economy." Obviously not feeling the same good feeling was Apple. Following this week's vote, the Cupertino company said the proposed Telecommunications Business Act will put users who purchase digital goods from other sources at risk of fraud, undermine their privacy protections, make it difficult to manage their purchases, and features like Ask to Buy and parental controls will become less effective. They say proposed because, while the Coalition for App Fairness praises South Korea's president for setting an example for the rest of the world, he still has to sign the bill into law. Assuming he does, the whole deal may still not be a done deal. Before the vote, the chairman of the Korea Communications Commission said, "Adjustments can be made in executing the policy. We are fully aware of the concerns of Apple and Google, so we will implement them in consideration of both industry stakeholders and users." Additionally, there are actually questions about whether the South Korean bill violates trade agreements between that country and the U.S., so yeah, we missed a lot, but did we really miss anything? Next stop, India, where, hey ho, what do you know, another App Store antitrust investigation looms, according to iMore. They cite a Reuters report that says Apple is facing an antitrust challenge in India for allegedly abusing its dominant position in the apps market by forcing developers to use its proprietary in-app purchase system. According to the little-known non-profit group who brought this to the attention of regulators, The existence of the 30% commission means that some app developers will never make it to the market. This could also result in consumer harm. It's unclear whether an official investigation will proceed. The report figures it will, though, since every country that's any country sees App Store commissions as the thing about which they have to do something. Apple made an interesting App Store move this week, offering an olive branch to close an investigation in Japan. A piece from Mac Rumors says Apple is set to let companies with reader apps point potential customers to the company website. For clarity's sake, Mac Rumors says reader apps allow users to browse previously purchased content or content subscriptions for digital magazines, newspapers, books, audio, music, and video. Think Netflix, and perhaps more importantly, think Spotify. Going forward, says Mac Rumors, developers that create reader apps will be able to include an in-app link to their website for users to either set up or manage an account, and sign up using a non-App Store payment method will be possible. Apple says that this change will be applied globally to all reader apps on the App Store. Don't bother looking for those links just yet, though. The piece says the change won't go into effect until sometime next year. You know how Apple says it pays every bit of tax it owes? Doesn't mean it's cool letting those taxes go higher. Apple Insider says the Business Roundtable, a lobbying group representing the interests of Apple, has joined a coalition of corporate titans and industry organizations in a concerted effort to derail portions of President Joe Biden's $3.5 trillion economic agenda. That agenda includes legislation that will expand Medicare coverage, combat climate change, increase access to education, introduce broad subsidies for low and medium income families, and more. But it also includes a hike in corporate tax rates from 21% to 28%, while placing heftier burdens on profits earned overseas. Apple is a corporation, and it does make a lot of money overseas. And so the piece says, a lobbying blitz is being organized by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which seeks support from all corners to fight the economic package, including its cost, policy scope, and tax demands. What was it again? Medicare, climate change, education. Yeah, I'm sure someone will take care of it. Let us spend the rest of the day doing the sound and vision thing. A documentary that I greet with a certain amount of interest and a certain amount of dread has found its way to Apple TV+. The Mac Observer says 9/11, Inside the President's War Room, is up on the Cupertino streamer. According to the report, the 90-minute documentary is a collaboration between Apple and the BBC, marking 20 years since the attacks on the Pentagon and the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. It tells the story of the immediate White House response in the 12 hours that followed, with access to key decision makers. There's a documentary hitting Apple TV on Tuesday. Seems an odd day, but note, I didn't say Apple TV+. Apple Insider says Being James Bond, a look back on 5 films and 15 years of Daniel Craig as 007, will find itself in the Apple TV app on Tuesday, the 7th of September. The 46-minute presentation lands ahead of the release in theaters of No Time to Die. There is a 30-second teaser available now on YouTube. Being James Bond will be available for free in the rental section. You know, they should call that the follow section if it's not going to cost anything. Taking us back behind the paywall, a piece from Deadline says Apple TV Plus has picked up the documentary feature, The Fight Before Christmas. According to the report, the film follows the story of a North Idaho neighborhood turned upside down by one man's obsession with bringing Christmas cheer to all through the biggest community Christmas event America has ever seen. Christmas-loving lawyer Jeremy Morris's plan hits a snag when the Homeowners Association informs him that the event violates the rules of the neighborhood. A contentious fight over the festivities erupts, and things snowball out of control. Set to kick off the holiday season in earnest, the fight before Christmas starts its run on Friday, the 26th of November, aka the day after Thanksgiving in the States, aka Black Friday. Having taken the long way up, Ewan McGregor is headed back to Apple TV+. iDownload blog highlights a Deadline report that has the once and future Jedi starring in the feature film Raymond and Ray for the Cupertino streamer. See also Ethan Hawke when you see Raymond and Ray. The report says the film will star McGregor and Hawke as half-brothers living under the shadow of a terrible father. The report says Rodrigo Garcia of In Treatment is set to write and direct the film. If he's set to write, you know what that means. There is no telling when we will see this movie. One of Apple's intro shows is signing off soon. The Cupertino company issued a press release Thursday saying that the third season of Dickinson will be its last. Show creator, writer, and executive producer Elena Smith is quoted in the release saying she always saw the show as a 3-season thing. As for what's to come, the release says in the third season, Emily Dickinson's most productive time as an artist falls amid the raging American Civil War and an equally fierce battle that divides her own family. As Emily tries to heal the divides around her, she wonders if art can help keep hope alive and whether the future can be better than the past. Everyone's back for Season 3, including Haley Steinfeld, Toby Huss, Jane Krakowski, Wiz Khalifa, and the list goes on. 10 episodes for the final season. The first 3 will land on Friday, the 5th of November, with 1 a week after that until Christmas Eve, Friday, the 24th of December. And finally today, the weird series of listening parties for Kanye West's Donda seems to have paid off. This summer saw a few in-person listening events for that album that were also live-streamed. After the first one, the world expected the album to drop on streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music. After the second listening party, the world kind of expected the album to drop. Eventually, Universal Music Group decided enough was enough and released the album against Kanye's wishes, according to Kanye. That aside, the release seems to have worked out in a serious way. According to a piece from Cult of Mac, Billboard reports that Donda pulled in a whopping 60 million streams during its first 24 hours on Apple Music alone. It is already Apple Music's third most streamed album ever, and that's what they were saying on Tuesday. 27 tracks, nearly 2 hours long. Donda is finally available now on Apple Music. And with that, we are back underway, just in time for a couple more days off. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.